Hi, this is Naveen Nanjundappa from 12 Principles Consulting. Today, we're going to talk about two very important questions that I often get from some of the people. The important questions that people are confused about are when not to use Agile and what are the problems with Agile. So, when you look at these two questions, what are the problems with Agile and when not to use Agile? They look very confusing, and it indicates that the person who is looking for answers on these things have thought about agile as something that we need to follow up on. Could be some steps to do, and when should we do these steps, when should we not do this step. Just imagine, if somebody asks you, when should I eat sweets, when should I not eat sweets, what are the problems with eating sweets? Of course, if you are a diabetic person, you're not supposed to eat too much of a sweet. That means don't eat sweet when you're diabetic. But that is something to do with the sweet and the problems that you have. But when it comes to agile, is it the same way that we should do something, we should not do something? No. Let's try to understand what is this, the concept of agile is, and then try to answer these questions. Stay tuned till the end of the session. This is going to be a live session. I don't think there is a recorded session available after this, so people who are watching it live will get it for you. Now, what is this agile all about? Agile is an ability or an attitude to deliver high business value every single time to your customer using common sense. I know the moment I say the word common sense, there are a lot of people who come into picture like, oh, this is vague. So you can replace the word common sense with best practices, which means your ability or attitude to deliver high business value every single time to your customer using the best practices. Did you know few years back there was no best practice that you call them now? So for example, you call something as a best practice today, 10 years before, 20 years before, that was not a best practice. Somebody used their common sense, tried, tested it, and today it has become a best practice. So I always focus on use your common sense to get the best rather than relying on somebody else's best practice or somebody else's common sense. Something that was suitable 5 years before need not be suitable today. So it is always focused on continuous evolution, continuous inspect and adapt that brings us to the best. So instead of following somebody's best practice, we can create best practices. Think about it. So the agile is your ability to deliver high business value every single time, not just once, every single time to your customer using common sense or best practice. Interestingly, let's look at the history of agile. So when you look at the history of agile, the word agile for software development was established in year 2001. The 17 people who are gathered together to identify what are the best practices, what are the best things that we do so that we always win. And if you look at it, there were representatives from Scrum, Extreme Programming, DSDM, Dynamic System Design Development, the Crystal, Pragmatic Programming, Feature-Driven Development, and a lot of system thinking people. So what happened is these were the people who were using some of the lightweighted process and frameworks. And if you look at this chart, Scrum was almost like 1990s, early 1990s, Extreme Programming 1996. And all these frameworks came into existence and they were tried, tested, they were used. In 2001, all the representatives from these different frameworks and lightweighted stuff, they got together to do a reverse engineering to find out we are winning. We are able to develop a better software while the other people are struggling in the industry. Why are other people struggling and we are winning? Why are the projects failing when you start using waterfall, V model, and other frameworks, and we are more successful? Why are we more successful? So this reverse engineering or the discussion led to what is called as Agile Manifesto. In fact, if you notice, the word Agile for software development came into existence in 2001, but all the frameworks that led to the Agile Manifesto and principles were existent before 2001, and none of them used the word Agile when they were working. That's a very interesting one. None of these people who created the Agile Manifesto used the word Agile, but they were successful. But unfortunately, today, what is happening? Others are doing something called as Agile. We have to do it. Okay, what are others doing? And you just copy paste it. What is that? Oh, others are doing something called as Agile. We have to get started. And they do something called as daily stand up. Okay, everybody, come in the morning, stand in the circle, answer 3 questions. We are going to write user stories. We're going to use Jira tool, Rally tool. We are going to focus on sprint. We need a Scrum Master, and now we are Agile. Unfortunately, this is not Agile, and this is one of the reasons why people are struggling. Now you can notice that whenever there is a confidence that, whenever there's a context that Agile is something to do about practices, Agile is something to do about the framework to follow, Agile is something to do with some of the meetings to conduct, then you have not understood the core context of what Agile is about. Just think about it. None of these 17 people or their teams used even once the word Agile, yet they were successful for almost a decade. And today, we use more Agile, and unfortunately, we prefix Agile to everything and anything. Let's see if it is right and what is the context now. So remember, Agile word did not exist before 2001, and all the frameworks that led to Agile Manifesto did exist. Okay. Now, if you look at the Agile Manifesto, these 17 people, what is this Agile Manifesto talking about? The result of these 17 people doing a reverse engineering and finding out why are we more successful than others? Why are we are producing better product, better software than other people while they're struggling? That reverse engineering led to 4 values and 12 principles. In fact, if you look at these 4 values and 12 principles, these are the secrets of winning team. I call them the secrets of winning team because these were the winning teams and their representatives using different lightweighted frameworks, process. They came together to find out why we are winning. So the winning team secret is the Agile 4 values and 12 principles. In fact, they themselves called it so. If you see this, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. When you see this, we are uncovering better ways of developing software. What do you mean by uncovering? Uncovering means it already existed. We knew about it. Others did not know. So we are going to tell about it. So here is what is our secrets of building winning product, better software. And those are the results of the 4 values and 12 principles. Unfortunately, the context of secrets of winning team is missed out. Many people look at it as Agile means working software, no documentation. In fact, if you look at the Agile Manifesto, the word no documentation does not exist. It just says working software is more valuable. You have to value that more than the comprehensive documentation. Just think over, why is it so? Because we are working in a complex zone, and in a complex zone, uncertainties are high. There is no point in having a documentation unless you see what is the context that you're trying to build. So focus on the software development, focus on what you need, and as a result of that, you win. That is like a secret of winning team. But there are a lot of things which are misunderstood, misinterpreted, and it is always possible that you and the Agile Manifesto is misinterpreted. So Agile Manifesto is not a secret sauce where you need to follow it. Agile Manifesto is a secret of those winning teams. I'm not here today to tell you that you have to follow these values and principles. I'm here to question you. Are you part of a winning team? If yes, then I'm sure you would have some secrets to build a winning product. If not, what is stopping you from overcoming your failures, overcoming your difficulties, and looking at the secrets that made somebody else win? Think about it. When you look at Agile Manifesto as the secrets of a winning team, it gives more context and more a focus on what needs to be done. In fact, the the whole context of working, I can divide this into three parts, and this is how I look at the working ecosystem. Now, there are three things. The first one is the framework. The framework gives you the rules and guidelines. This is like a skeleton of it. Now, it just gives you the rules and guidelines. What do you mean by a framework? Scrum is a framework. Extreme programming, Crystal. These things just give you the steps or a high level context as to what should be your focus area. How should you think about it? What are the rules? Exactly like a chess game. But just by having the framework, the rules of the game, you cannot win the match. So you need the strategy to win. And strategy makes you win. Remember, in a chess game, the rules are fixed. There are infinite strategies. And the same strategy cannot be used to all the opponents that you play with. Exactly that way, the strategy that you used 1 month before need not work, need not be applicable this month. In fact, if I tell you this, last year, because of this COVID pandemic, there were a lot of strategic changes that organizations has to do. And I'm sure you will agree with this. 2 years before, if you go to your manager and ask for work from home, there were a lot of objections. There were company policies being mentioned. And today, the situation is companies have employed the strategy to make people work from home, which means 2 years back, the strategy that companies thought work from home will not work is working very well today. That is what is the more focus important. The strategies make you win. No, there are infinite strategies. Remember that. Let's come to the tools and the techniques. Tools and techniques makes your job effective and efficient. I mean, tools don't have brain. The person who's using the tool, their brain becomes the tool's brain. Example, I have these markers here. You don't call them a marker. They are the marker tools. If I give this to an artist, the artist is going to come up with a beautiful artwork. And if I give this to my son who is about 3 years old, he's going to just scribble out. Now, looking at the artwork or the work done by my kid who's 3 years old, I cannot say that the tool is not working. When the tool is given to an artist, the artist's brain gets into the tool and the artist brings out a beautiful artwork. When a 3-year-old son, my kid, is using it, it's a 3-year-old kid's brain which the tools get. And of course, you get what the brain says. But unfortunately, what is happening is others are using a Jira tool. And if we have to be agile, we also have to use the Jira tool. I know there are a lot of people who got into this context of agile. If you have to have an agile project, unfortunately, you need to be using the tool that are dedicated or mentioned most often in the agile community. Sorry, the Jira tool does not make you agile. That's just a tool. You need to use the tool with your sense, with your context. Of course, the tool should make your job easier, faster, better, and simpler. And if the tool does not make your job easier, faster, better, and simpler, then the tool is a waste. It's a crap. Let me give you an example. Most often when somebody comes to you and says, use this tool, I ask this a lot often. If your manager walks up to you and says, from Monday, we are going to use a Jira tool, what is the first question you're going to ask? 99% of the people say, why Jira? And that's the problem. The problem is whenever there is a context of the tool, you need to ask how, not the why question, how question. And what does that mean? Whenever you see the tool, you need to ask about how is this tool going to make your job easier, faster, better, and simpler? So let's assume that my manager comes to me and says, we're going to use Jira from Monday. My question is going to be something like this. I am a code developer. You're asking me to use Jira tool. How is Jira tool going to make my job as a code developer easier, faster, better, and simpler? Is it going to write some code for me? Is it going to manage my code for me? What is it going to do so that my work becomes easier, faster, better, or simpler? Think about it. Tools, if they don't make your job easier, faster, better, and simpler, then it's a waste. And you notice that there are a lot of tools. These are the tools that I have just displayed. Yeah, every work needs a tool. Carpenter has their own tools, plumber has their own tools, electricians has their own tools, software engineers also have their own tools. And if you don't know which tool to use when, how, and how to get the benefit out of it, sorry to say, unfortunately, it is just a copy paste of the tools. Just because somebody else is using a tool, you're using it, absolute nonsense crap. Yeah. So think about it. Are we just using the tool because somebody else told us, somebody else wants us to do it? Or are you thinking about the tool is going to make your job easier, faster, better, and simpler? Now, there are two things. The strategies makes you win. The tools and techniques makes your job easier, faster, better, and simpler. Framework does not tell you which tool to use, which strategy to use. That's the beauty of the framework. So when you look at the framework, Scrum does not tell you which tool to use, which strategy to use. It just tells you, look, this is the flow you have to focus on. These are the rules. You use any tool, any strategy that is of your choice. Now the question is, there are infinite tools, infinite strategy. Which one should we use? That is where our Agile Manifesto and principles comes into picture. There are infinite tools, infinite strategies. We need to choose those tools and techniques, those strategies that are more focused on the values and principles that these secrets people used. And here is what. So now if you look at what is this Agile all about? I'm not going to call these Agile with all the buzzwords. I'm going to just explain it to you in a simple words. Agile is your ability to now choose out of infinite tools and techniques, infinite strategies. Those tools and techniques, those strategies, the strategies that makes you win in your ecosystem, the tools and techniques that makes you be more effective and efficient at your work to deliver high business value every single time to your customer. And the common sense is your common sense of which tool makes sense to me now to save my time, my energy, and which strategy makes us win. That common sense results in winning. And that's what is about Agile mindset, the backward thought process. So now you can think about it. Oh, Naveen, this is not written anywhere. Of course, this is my quote. This is what I think about. This is how I explain Agile all about. It is your ability to choose the tools and techniques and strategy that makes you win, be more effective and efficient, to deliver high business value every single time to your customer using your common sense. Unfortunately, the common sense works very well outside office. The moment you come inside office, your common sense has been killed. How is it killed? Oh, we have a best practice. We have identified a step. Follow that. That means you're focused more on following something rather than evaluating it, and then understanding what is the best way to move forward. Instead of continuous improvement, we are looking at following something that has already been practiced. That's not the mindset behind agility. Remember, none of these people, 17 people or their teams before 2001, even once used the word agile. In fact, they did not even know. In 2001, they gave this 4 values and 12 principles as a collective term, the Agile Manifesto or Manifesto for Agile Software Development. Think about it. Now, a lot of people use this Agile and Scrum interchangeably. Oh man, this is a horrible situation. Agile is not equal to Scrum. Please stop doing this. And the next time you hear these words being interchanged, you know that the person who's using it has not understood what Agile is, what Scrum is. Example, I have heard some people calling this, oh, we are starting an Agile project. We need a Scrum Master. Hold on. Agile project does not have a Scrum Master. Scrum Master is a master of Scrum. And the master of Scrum is the role defined. The Scrum Master is a responsibility defined in Scrum framework. So if you are using the Scrum framework for your software development or your development activity, then you need a Scrum Master who is mastered over Scrum. If you're using Crystal, you don't need a Scrum Master because there is no Scrum Master in Crystal. Remember, Scrum Master, master of Scrum. So for all the while that if you have used, oh, we are starting with an Agile project, we need the Scrum Master. Absolute nonsense. Yeah. Agile is about the 4 values and 12 principles that these 17 people reverse engineered, found out for better ways of developing software. So in order to develop the better software, you have these 4 values and 12 principles, and those values and principles is what these people named it as Agile. Like you name your kid with some identifier to call them, exactly that way these 17 people named these 4 values and 12 principles as Agile Manifesto or Agile values and principles. While Scrum, remember the Scrum framework was published way back in 1990s. And now the Scrum framework is a set of rules and guidelines. Scrum framework never told you which tool to use, which strategy to use. It just gave you the framework, rules. That rules existed, and that set of rules that help you handle a complex ecosystem, complex environment, complex situations. The Scrum framework helps you in handling that. It's a set of rules to handle a complex situation. Now, if you are using Scrum, don't assume that you are Agile, because Agile is about delivering high business value, not by doing sprint planning meeting, daily Scrum, and having a Scrum Master. Agile is about, are you delivering high business value? Which means on a framework that you have selected, let's say the Scrum framework, are you using the right tool and technique, right strategies to make you effective and efficient to win in the Scrum framework? Then you are Agile. So your agility is more of how quick you are in selecting the best tools, best strategies, best techniques to make you win in your current situation. Not about following something, certainly about following a set of rules alone. And that is a beauty of Scrum as well, and the context of agility. Unfortunately, when people don't understand this, they talk about, oh, Scrum does not apply everywhere because Scrum does not tell you how to handle situations. I mean, these are the things that I always look at it and smile like, yeah, Scrum is a framework. Why should it tell you which framework to which tool to use, which strategy to use? Use your brain, use your common sense. Choose the tool which makes you effective. Choose the strategy that makes you win. Scrum is not going to tell you that. Remember, it is like a chess game. Chess game rule book does not tell you how do you handle an opponent. What you should do when an opponent places a rook right in front of your king, right in front of your queen, minister. It does not. Rule book does not tell you how do you do that. It is your strategy. But unfortunately, people want ready-made answers. Okay, tell me, how did you handle this so that I can copy paste it in my office, my teams? This copy paste mindset is the one which is spoiling all of us. The day you the day you stop copying from what other persons did, and you start evaluating yourself to deliver high business value, that's the true agility. So stop using Agile and Scrum interchangeably. Agile is a set of values and principles. The Scrum is a framework which gives you rules to work on. And if you want to claim that you're Agile on any of the frameworks that you're using, let's say Scrum, Extreme Programming, Crystal, you need to use out of infinite strategy, the tools and techniques and strategy that are aligned with the principles and values. Interesting. So now if you look at it, unfortunately, many people, they don't know what are these values, what are the principles. Yep. You can notice that I work for a company called 12 Principles Consulting. Now the 12 principles, I hope this rings a bell. Yes, we don't call our company as an agile company. That has become a buzzword. So we focus on what is the intent behind these agility all about, the values and the principles. So the 12 principles of agile is what we focus on. And all the tools and techniques, all the strategies that we have is based on the values and principles of these secrets of the winning teams. So now you can think over it. Are we doing the good job? Yeah. When we focus on the values and principles, we will have a choice of which strategy to use, which one to ignore. Out of infinite, we ignore some of them, certainly. In fact, as I told you, many people don't know there are 12 principles. Forget about asking them as context of the individual principle. I mean, if you are working in so-called agile framework, agile projects, or in a Scrum framework for last 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, probably you should have the agile principles and manifesto in your blood. Somebody wakes you up and says, what is principle number 6? You should be able to say that. What is principle number 6? It is the most effective and efficient way to convey the information to and within the team is face-to-face conversation. Principle number 4, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Principle number 12, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to be effective and tunes and adjusts their behavior accordingly. Principle number 1, principle number 1 is our highest priority is to deliver the business value, okay, to our customers. And what does that mean? We need to deliver the business value with a preference to a shorter time scale. A lot of things come up. Think over it. Yeah. So now let's look at the next step. What are the problems with agile? Yeah, this was the problem that we started with. The problems with agile is people don't understand what is agile. So when you don't know what is agile and you want to get the benefit out of it, sorry, that is where the primary reason for you to fail. Just imagine, if you don't know how to drive a car, if you don't know what a car is, and if somebody gives you a car key, the problem is not with the car. The problem is with the person who's trying to drive a car without knowing it. Exactly that way. What is the problem with agile? The problem with agile is it is in the hands of those people who don't know what agile is all about. What is the mindset behind what is the agile context? That's the big problem. And now people think agile is equal to Scrum. And if you replace this question with agile is equal to Scrum, they're basically meaning what are the problems with Scrum? Yeah. Scrum is a framework which has a set of rules. You can go ahead and think about it. Is Scrum applicable everywhere? Probably not. It is just a framework. So I'll give you an example. If you want to go from location 1 to location 2, let's say from Bangalore to Delhi, what are the modes of transportation that you're going to prefer? There are a number of transportation methods. You can go by road, you can go by air, you can go by train, you can go by boat, go by waterways to half a distance and then take a different way. You can as well walk. But then the question is, which one of these is the most suitable one? That depends on some of the constraints that you have. And exactly that way, when you look at the framework is not best suited for all situations. It's just a set of rules on a specific situation. For example, Scrum is best suited for a complex zone. If you have a chaos, then that chaos, Scrum does not solve your chaos problem. Chaos is a situation where you have absolutely no idea what is going to happen in the very next minute. So much of variations. Scrum does not help you. Scrum helps you when you have uncertainties that you can manage. And Scrum is a set of rules to manage these known to a certain uncertain known unknowns to a certain degree. So now you can think over, are we going to have a project which is in chaos, then don't use Scrum. But certainly don't replace this word Scrum with Agile and say, oh, Agile is not suitable in this project. Sorry, Agile is about your ability to pick up the best tools, techniques, strategies to deliver high business value, irrespective of your framework. So, what is the problem with Agile? As I told you, Agile is in the hands of those people who don't know what is Agile. And after this program, I hope that you're going to go back, look at what are the values, what are the principles, try to understand for each of these principles, what are the actions that you're going to get, what are the strategies that you can look at. Yep. Now, similarly, we have lean, which is yet another buzzword or a buzz in the industry. And many people have this confusions. If you cannot work in iterations, in a smaller iteration, that is in sprints, as described in Scrum, oh, if we don't have iteration possible, if we cannot finish our work within iteration, or we have a lot of what do you call maintenance kind of an activity, defect fixes, then we have to use lean, we have to use Kanban. I'm telling you, the Scrum is a framework, Kanban is a set of rules and a framework as well. Like a Kanban, you can look at it as a flow, you can look at it as a Kanban board, as an indicator. That does not solve your problem. It is just a set of rules. What solves your problem is your choices of the tools and techniques and strategy. Focus on that. Unfortunately, we don't focus on them. Tools and techniques and strategies don't work if you copy paste them. Remember, I want to share this experience. In one of my classes, the certified Scrum Master classes, I had mentioned that while I coach, 3 teams were put on single room, and I wanted to effectively facilitate 3 discussions, 3 table discussions. And using this facilitation tools and techniques, facilitation strategies that I knew I had mastered over, I was able to successfully conduct or facilitate the discussions among 3 teams simultaneously. But unfortunately, the person who heard this replicated the same thing in their office and then came back saying that, Naveen, this does not work. Whatever you say is not practical. I'm sure you would have been hearing these comments as well. Oh, this is only bookish. This is not practical. The next time you hear somebody say that this is bookish, this is not practical, get it to your thoughts. That person who made a comment, this is not practical, this is bookish, is blindly copy pasting the strategy, the tool and technique that you told or they heard into their ecosystem, and they expect results. It's not going to work. Example, if I say I used some technique, some tool to make my team effective and efficient, the same tool, the same technique need not be effective and efficient for your tool, your teams. And if you copy paste them, certainly it is not going to work. And that is when people don't get results, when they copy the tools and techniques, they say it is not practical. It is bookish. Sorry, whenever I hear this, I smile at them and say, yeah, could be, because it was working for me. Let's go to the next one. The problems with the Agile. Oh man, we have still not come up to this. What are the problems with Agile? As I told you, the copy paste is a problem. Not understanding what the mindset of Agile is a problem. And the second one is the context of Agile itself is misused. Okay, so you need to be careful about it. Let's go to the next question that people ask. When not to use Agile? I am sure now you would be smiling. You would be laughing at this now. Why? Because when not to use Agile, oh boy, if you replace this word Agile with secrets of winning team, when not to use a secret of winning? I don't know. When not to use the ability to deliver high business value? I don't know. So this question, if you look at it, it gives you a context of there is some mistake here. Maybe when the question is asked when not to use Agile, Agile and Scrum are interchangeably used, and what they meant is when not to use Scrum. That itself indicates that there is a misunderstanding between Scrum and Agile and interchangeable. Yes, if you ask the same question when not to use Scrum, there could be an answer like, okay, if you don't want to use Scrum, it could be in a chaos. You don't need Scrum. If the project is very simple, you don't need Scrum. Why? Because Scrum is best suited in a complex zone. Doesn't mean that Scrum does not work in a complex, a chaos, or a simple zone. It just means that some of the tools and techniques and strategy that you use for complex zone does not work in a chaos. The same tools and techniques and strategy does not work in a simple zone. So you need to be clear that all that we are trying to do is get the context of Scrum is suitable in a complex zone. Agile is your ability to select the best tools and techniques and strategies to win. That is applicable everywhere. In fact, in 2016, I got married using Scrum. My wedding was planned using Scrum. Now you might ask, oh, what does that mean? Yes, all the activities that I had to do about my wedding, we had a product backlog. There was the team. Every day we used to discuss what needs to be done for the next 24 hours. We need to have we had a 1 week sprint. At the end of the 1 week sprint, we had a lot of conversations around what are the improvements, what are the pending things, how do we plan for the next 1 week. There was a planning meeting, planning discussions. And at the end of the 2 months, that's 8 sprints, that was my wedding date. So my wedding was planned using Scrum. And all the thinking that we had was agility, tools and techniques and strategies. So think over. When not to use Agile? Simple. Don't use Agile when you don't know what it is. A simple context of when not to drive a car. When you don't know how to drive a car, when you don't have a driving license, don't drive a car. You're killing somebody else. You're killing yourself as well. Yeah. So for all those people who don't know what is Agile, don't use it. It is not going to benefit you. For all those people who have just heard somebody say, Agile is this, Agile is that, don't do it. And there is another problem. A lot of people think that we can go read a book and then get all the knowledge. We can just watch some video and get all the knowledge. Unfortunately, here is a comment that I have. You should always focus on not the words. You should focus on the intent behind the words that the author has written. When you read a book, don't read the words, read the intent. Let me give you an example. If you focus on the intent behind the Agile Manifesto, the first 2 lines in the Agile Manifesto tells you what is the intent. The intent is to share the secret. Remember, we are uncovering better ways of developing software. That means we are helping you. We are doing it, we are helping you. That means don't read the words, read the intent behind them. Exactly that way. When not to use Agile, when you don't know, when you are unaware of it, when you don't have a mentor or a coach who can coach you on how to be Agile and the thinking required for it, don't do it. And certainly don't do it if some tool company or somebody tells, use this tool, you're going to be Agile. Tools don't make you Agile. Tools makes you effective and efficient. Tools don't make you Agile. Don't go in the context of using the tool is important. No. Okay, I have been talking a lot now. I hope this was useful for you. And this was a question that I had very recently. So I thought that this is going to be useful. And if these questions come up in your interview questions, especially when you're an Agile leader or a Scrum Master interview or an Agile coach interview, and if these 2 questions comes up, you know what the interviewer is looking at. Probably you may want to correct them saying that, hold on, did you mean Agile is equal to Scrum, or what is your context of Agile? Well, how do you define Agile? You may want to ask the interviewer this question. Think about it. If your manager is asking you the same question, give me a report on when not to use Agile, or is this project suitable for Agile? Hold on. Agile is about winning and choosing the right tool and technique and strategy. Think about it. Okay, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can always drop in the comment section, or if you really like this, please do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'll be having a lot more context around it. And at the same time, I want to make this comment before we end up. Any company that claims that we are agile, any company that claims that we are agile, and if their employees are working on Saturday, Sunday late night, sorry to say, you're not agile. Any company that is agile should have the tools and techniques and strategy chosen in such a way that they're going to deliver high business value, not stretching on the people. Think about it. Principle number 5 says, build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and the support they need, and trust them, they'll get the job done. If you trust them, if you give the team the environment they need, you don't need to ask your team members to work on Saturday, Sunday late night. And that indicates your choice of the strategies, your choice of the tools and techniques are bad or wrong, and that does not make you agile. Remember, the agility is also in terms of choosing the contractual type, having a conversation with your stakeholders and customers, the contract that you have with your sponsors. A lot of things add up. Be agile, inspire people to be agile, which means path of continuous improvement using your common sense. If you have used some of the tools and techniques that made you effective and efficient, if you have used some strategy that made your teams win, please do mention it in the comment section. Let me also learn from you, and I'll be happy to take up your questions in the next session. Please drop in your questions, and thank you so much for joining in. This is Naveen Nanjundappa from 12 Principles Consulting. I'm a certified Scrum trainer. I do host certified Scrum Master certification programs, the certified Scrum product owner, and advanced Scrum Master programs. You can go ahead and look at the details about these programs on the website, 12 Principles Consulting. And do please refer your friends and colleagues to these programs if you want to learn Scrum and agility in the right way. Thank you so much. You have a good night and a good day coming up. Stay safe and use your mask. Thank you.